Good afternoon, Bullpups. Just want to take a moment to bring you our March Bullpup brief, discuss a little bit about the state testing that's upcoming and that we're in the middle of, as well as a little reflection before we get to spring break this year. As a reminder, a Bullpup brief is simply an opportunity to provide district updates, talk about achievement areas of growth, future plans, and questions from the community. As always, just a quick reminder, if you have an iDevice, you can go and search for our app there as a way for us to increase communication and be able to link to that. We hope that you take that opportunity to do so. I want to begin with a brief overview of the assessment schedule as it looks like. This was recently revised as of February 26th, so this is the most recent that we have available to us regarding some adjustments with time. Feel free to pause the video at this moment if you need to begin looking at those, but that does give a quick little breakdown of what our testing does look like. We know that our math and language arts in particular, it should be very similar beginning in grades 3 through 8th grade, and then once in the high school at the 10th grade level is when they're tested. Science is at that grade 5, 8, and 11. History and government is 6, 8, and 11, and so on and so forth. Again, it's a good opportunity if you want to look at not only how those are delivered. When you see kite there on the delivery format, that is the state mechanism. When we look at that, the means that we actually take those tests, the format of that test is there as well, so you can see how those are not only scored but also what format that takes place in, the estimated time as they've given us regarding these assessments, the windows that take place, and you can see that essentially that last window ends on May 12th for us, the furthest one out, and we plan to be finished well in advance of that in the hopes that we're able to complete any type of retesting and come in under that deadline. So again, if you haven't done so, or if you have, this is a good point to kind of pause that and reflect, read through. But I will kind of move on because rather than read through all of this for you, just would like to give you this as a resource for you to check through regarding our state assessments. So some couple things that we've done to prepare, and this is straight off of KSD as far as acceptable practices to prepare our students. We basically give them the opportunity to learn that content, obviously. We focus on that daily. It's not something where we want to kill and drill only those standards, but we do realize the focus of that. We want our students to be prepared by basing our instruction on those state standards and that are aligned to a local curriculum, which is exactly something that we do. We integrate teaching and test-taking skills with regular classroom instruction and assessment, meaning that we take that time to talk with students about that. We try to make them not only realize the importance of it, but also help them understand that this is not something that they need to stress about. This is not something that we want them to worry about, simply that we want them to do their best as they go through. We do that by assuring those students that they've had prior experience with the testing format, and they have the opportunity to go through some of those. Again, that's not always available in every single test that we administer through the state, but for most of them, they do have that opportunity to have a similar type testing format before they do take that final test. Obviously, we look at formative assessments as a way to monitor our students and prepare for them for the future. And then we ensure that any accommodations that we make throughout the year are done on those assessments as well at the end of the year. So that's something that's allowable, that we document and ensure that we take care of that in order to maximize the success for our students. So some testing prep, some things that you can do at home with your student. Get a good night of rest prior to the test and a healthy breakfast meal. That's pretty standard. We talk about that. That's important. You'll always hear those things that come up. Well, my son or my daughter doesn't really like breakfast, but on that day it's really important. It gives them some good energy. Make sure it's healthy. The last thing we want is a sugar spike as they come in, and then that crash that inevitably happens 30 minutes to an hour later on into the test. We want them to have that good breakfast that's going to sustain them through the day, and also just important that evening meal that helps them get through that. Finally, or I should say next, not finally, but next, don't stress. We know, and I've talked about this, one test does not and will not dictate who you are as a student or will not determine your future. We understand and realize that one test as a means to measure is something that's necessary to give us some good comparisons, some data, and some things that really begin to help us out. But we also understand, more importantly, that this is not the one and only indicator that's going to determine our success of our students. Don't forget to use process of elimination on multiple choice questions. Although you may not know the correct answer, if you can narrow it down to a choice between one other, you've got a 50% chance there versus 25% if you were choosing in between all four. So try to eliminate some of those options if you can. That's just a basic thing that we talk to our students about. And what happens if I'm stuck? Well, take a quick breather. Reread through the question and come at it from another approach. Sometimes the process of elimination helps. Sometimes it takes just to, again, kind of look at it from an opposite angle as well. So don't be afraid to take a quick breath. Make sure that you again take your time, and the most important thing is don't stress. We just ask finally that you do your best. That you take the time to do that, that it's a true reflection of you, and that we understand that things happen. But if those do come up, communicate with your teacher, communicate with those who are administering those tests to let them know that you're in the best available mindset and that you have the best ability to pass that test. That kind of closes out where we're at. Remember that as Bullpups, we're building up lifelong passion under proven success as we move forward. As always, if you have questions, thoughts, or concerns, you can reach out to me. And this is my contact information. I'm always available. Try to answer things within 24 hours. If you haven't heard from me, give me a shout again. But I always try to honor that no matter what method that you do use. But again, there's several avenues for you to reach me. I appreciate your time and dedication to our community and to our students, and look forward to hearing from you soon. Have a good evening. Thank you.